Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back. So, I know what you all must be thinking. You guys thought I disappeared. You guys thought I died, right? You know, like FantaSee made a video in like 3 days. He must have, something must have happened. And actually, yeah, something did. To be perfectly honest, I was playing this new game. I got extremely addicted, but that wasn't the reason why I didn't make a video. Like, I would never do that. The reason was I started eating really unhealthily, and then I just had like the worst stomach pain for a long time, and I was just rolling around in pain for quite a while, and yeah, it was pretty bad. But it is Monday again. It's the beginning of a new week, so you know I'm much better now, and yeah, I'm here to make a video. Now today I wanted to do something. I want to do something I haven't done in a while, and I think it will be really helpful for a lot of people. Because you know, if you see me in doing anything in this game, like usually I use a lot of the rebirth monsters that are light dark. Now, like for example, the Radis, you know, the Seedlers, like all the Sea Stars, the Mihos, the Nike, like the Sparkit, the you know, all these Viseras, you know, basically all these event monsters that a lot of people that started playing the game maybe 1 or 2 months ago no longer have access to, and a lot of times that really isn't helpful because a lot of people don't, you know, you can't obtain these monsters anymore. So sometimes it's not all that helpful. I do have a few like non-event monsters, but usually I try to raise an Evo 3 of the event monster just for collection and stuff like that, and that's kind of how I went with progressing on in the game. But today I wanted to talk a little bit more about the RGB monsters that you can get just, you know, playing through the game. Now I talked a lot about the usable 3 stars, the ones that are like really good, like Water Mona, Water Miho, I think that's it. Water Mona, Water Miho are like the best. You know, there's Water Shelly. A lot of the strong ones are water, like Water Siren. A lot of people use water monsters for B8. There's a lot of really good farmable fire monsters, like Fire Candling works very well for Titans, and also works very well for B9. I think this is pretty common knowledge, but today I wanted to talk about the best elements of all the 4 stars. Now, I don't want to talk about every single 4 star in the game, and I'm going to skip any 4 stars that are no longer obtainable. So any 4 stars that are from events from the past, I won't talk about them. And any like rebirth monsters, even if it's going on right now, I also won't talk about them. I'm basically only going to be talking about the 4 stars that you can get from the eggs, starting from the bottom up. So I'm going to be only talking about the best elements, and I'll skip through the ones that aren't too good. So the Fire Hana is just no. She is no. We're gonna have to skip through her. She's not very good. The Water Hana is decent, but definitely not the best one. She's usable, but not exactly the best. So we're gonna move on to the Wood Hana. The Wood Hana is the best Hana out of the 3 normal elements. She is probably I would say out of all the RGB monsters, if you don't know what RGB means, it's red, blue, and green. You know, it's from Pokemon. Out of all the RGB monsters, she is probably the best healer in the game. I mean, for active heals, she is the best active healer in the game because she has very good skills for Titans, and defense up is very rare. Her defense up also lasts 3 turns, and she has an attack down, which is very useful for Titans. So it's basically, for Titans, she's pretty much one of the best monsters. There are a few you could consider like better, maybe like, you know, that are harder to obtain, or event monsters from the past, like Dark Venus or something like that. But for an obtainable monster, well, not an I wouldn't say like, yeah, I think 4 stars should, in this game, should be considered obtainable because you can summon a lot of eggs and get a lot of 4 stars. So yeah, a lot of people have these monsters. So if you have her, she actually was one of the first healers I used. I do have one of her. I don't have her at 6 stars, I kept her at 5 stars, but she's been able to carry me through a lot of content with just being 5 stars. Because she actually has relatively tanky HP stats, and pretty high recovery stats, so she actually heals quite a lot. You basically just make her tanky and she can heal your team, provide attack down, which is very nice, and the defense up, which basically makes your team a lot tankier. So that's pretty much it for the Hanas. As for the Wild Fangs, the best one I would probably say is the Fire one. The Fire Wild Fang has a really nice self-sustaining skill. She basically heals on her first skill and also heals on her second skill. So basically she just keeps life stealing and sustains herself. She has very nice stats for an attacker, pretty balanced. You don't want her to be too squishy because her strong point is her own recovery, her self-recovery. So she has multiple uses. You can use her in B9. She's basically one of the best. Actually, she is the best monster for B9 because she has a lot of self-sustain and she also happens to be fire, which counters the element for B9. And she's very good for Dragon's B8 as well because Dragon's B8 is water, has a lot of saps. If you get her with relatively high resist, she is pretty much able to nearly solo that dungeon, I think. She can solo B9 if you have her with very good gems, but in Dragon's B8, you're probably going to have to carry her at the very least to the boss, and maybe get the boss like half HP, and then if everybody else dies, she can pretty much finish off the boss by herself. So that's pretty much it for the Firewall thing. If you have her, she's definitely worth using. I'm still raising a new one because I fed my old one away, and I will be raising her for Dragon's B9, so you'll be able to see her very soon. The Water Wild Fang is, I think is no. Let's take a quick look. Water Wild Fang isn't too good because her stun rate is kind of low, 60, 80. Not really that reliable for CC. The Woodwall thing I used to use for Dragon's B10, but there's a lot of better monsters to use than her now, so she's kind of obsolete. You don't really need to use her, so she's kind of no as well at this point. The Fire Banshee is, you know, when you see recovery down, it's just no. All right, this is just no. Yeah, they need to fix some of the skills they have in the game. I think that will probably make a lot of monsters more usable. Like buff a lot of these skills that aren't really used in the game. This is some Soul Boon, which is, I don't even know exactly what it does. All I know is it's pretty bad. So yeah, Soul Boon is kind of no as well. But yeah, they really need to revamp a lot of these skills. They're not really all that useful. But the Wood Banshee is actually quite good. She has a defense lead, so you know, you can use her. Some people early on use her in PvP defense, you know, when they don't have another leader skill, and she works pretty well with like defense aggressors because with the defense lead, she can basically make them tankier and also hit harder. She has a morale boost and a defense down 60%. It's not too high, but the morale boost does make her a decent farmer for Wood Element because she happens to also be an attacker. So with the morale boost, she will be able to get her bar up faster, and then she'll be able to do her AoE nuke, which also puts the defense down on the enemy. So that's actually pretty good. I think mostly people use her in Dragon's B7. Back in the day when everyone was running light Nikes for B10, she was basically like chosen as the perfect leader because she has morale boost. She can basically help clear the wave, and she can basically make the Nikes really tanky, the light Nikes. So that's kind of why people use her quite a lot. Fire Victoria, Taunt, Petrification. She's actually quite tanky, like really tanky. I would think if they fix Colossus and Colossus was worth doing, she would actually be pretty good for Colossus, but as of now, she's kind of useless. The Water Nike. Now the Water Nike actually does have a defense down on both her skills, 60%. It's actually not too bad. And she has 3,100 attack for an attacker, so she's actually one of the better water attackers. And the other really good thing about her is she's actually fusible, so if you actually want a Water Nike, you can fuse her very, very easily. And the other good thing about all Nikes is they have the attack lead for anywhere. So, you know, if you have a Nike as a leader, it's basically useful anywhere you go. So yeah, you can make her your leader in like any water farming team. She will do very, very well. One of the best water nukers in the game. There's water nukers, there's not too many that are good that are 4 stars. So she kind of just takes that spot. The wood Nike got buffed recently, but I still think the water one is much better. 70% chance for 1 turn. It's kind of okay, but you know, there's a lot better alternatives. The Cura's, the Cura, I think we have a tie here because I feel that the fire and the water Cura are both very, very good in their own different ways. The fire Cura is very, very nice for doing Golem's B9, very strong early on. If you plan to use her early on, she's very, very good for that. And you can also use her for Dragon's B8, the wood one, because she's able to put up a shield, and shields basically stop saps. And in both Golem's B9 and Dragon's B8, the boss likes to sap a lot, so you can put down the shield. It doesn't actually just stop saps, it stops all debuffs, but the main debuff that you want to stop there is the sap. So basically, because the bosses don't hit very hard and they rely a lot on their sap damage, if you have this shield on, your allies won't take too much damage from the boss. She also is one of the team morale boosters. I think she's one of the only RGB ones that are team morale boosts, but her team morale boost relies on her to crit. Now, I won't necessarily stack crit on her. I would mostly just kind of use her for her shield, and if she happens to crit, you can think of this as a small bonus. Her shield doesn't require her to have high HP. Basically, all she needs to do is have high level. So all you really need to do is get her to 6 stars, and she will provide a decent shield for your allies. So that's actually pretty nice. And yeah, team morale boost you can use in PvP, you can use in farming as well. So she has multiple uses if you happen to get her with like 100% crit rate. The water Cura is also a very, very strong monster. She's got a self morale boost. Morale boost healers are a lot more reliable because they get their bars faster, meaning that they're going to be healing a lot more than any other healers. She also has the attack up for 3 turns for water, and she's water element. Basically, a lot of people use her for their water teams in Titans. She's kind of just used for that. Why am I like repeating words? I don't know. I can't talk properly right now. But yeah, she's very, very good for Titans mostly. I would say she's kind of top tier. There's not a lot of really good water nukers or healers, so she's pretty much one of the best. The wood one is not too bad, but kind of gets outclassed by the other two, so she's not really all that useful. And there are other better water wood nuker or wood healers, I mean, like the wood Hana. Alright, Cupids. I would say the Fire Cupid is probably the best. Fire Cupid, you kind of use her for the same reason that you would use a wood Hana. You can kind of think of her as, or think of him as very, very similar. He also has an HP lead. Well, all the Cupids have that. It's very, very good. It works everywhere. You can use it in Titans, you can use it in PvP, you can use it in farming, you can use it in anything that you want. Attack down, very, very useful for Titans. Attack up, also quite useful for Titans. Very nice monster, just decent all around. You can use him as a healer, you can use him as a support, buffer, you can use him for debuffs. Like he's just really good all around. Now the Water Cupid, I don't even remember what he does, because if I don't remember, he kind of is bad. Yeah, Thirst is not too good, Purification is not too good because there's not a lot of debuffs. Resist is kind of OP, so he's kind of not really useful. The Wood Cupid, a lot of people use him early on because he's one of the only monsters that have a shield, that also have a shield and an HP lead. He has Soul Boon, which basically turns red souls into blue souls, so people get their bars faster. So you can kind of think of this as a morale boost, but it's not as good. And you know, Shield's always nice. Shield is basically like the best buffs for any healers. So some people use him early on, but he kind of gets outclassed by the fire one, so we're not going to talk too much about him. Fire Succubus. Fire Succubus, in my opinion, my personal opinion, is probably the, like, you see that I actually have one. Like, I actually have one raised and gemmed and usable. And that actually says a lot because I don't use a lot of RGB monsters. But as I was saying, she is probably, in my personal opinion, the best RGB 4-star monster in the game, because she's just super strong. She's got a HP siphon. Basically, this heals for a shit ton. She heals for a lot, but it only activates on crits. And her defense down also only activates on crits. She also has skill books, which makes her even stronger. She heals more, hits harder with skill books, and also this defense down becomes 3 turns with skill books. So basically, like, she's super strong. But if you have the right gems to make her 100% crit rate, because if you want her to be reliable, you want that 100% crit, which might not be too easy to do for everyone. So that's why I guess that's kind of the way they balance her, to make her not as strong. She also has an HP lead, which is usable everywhere, which is super good, because HP lead is pretty much probably the best leader skill as well. So she has a very good leader skill, very good first skill, very good second skill, nice damage, nice stats. She's sexy, everything. Like, she's just the best. And but the only downside to using the Fire Succubus is she actually requires relatively good gems. So if you get her early on, she's actually not really all that usable. But once you get the gems for her, she's probably, in my opinion, the best RGB 4-star monster in the game. The Water Succubus, I think there's actually a theme here. The Water Succubus is actually kind of usable for PvP. She's got a 50% morale boost, but she also requires crit as well, so she's kind of like the Fire Succubus. Kind of usable for arena defense, but, you know, she's not the best, so we won't talk too much about her. Wood Succubus has Sleep, which is no, it's just no. Sleep is just no. Well, sleep is good, but sleep with like 80% is just no. And Shield Breaker, like, what the heck is Shield Breaker? Why did we have cleanses and, like, cleanse enemy buffs, and we also have Shield Break? But why can't it just do both, you know, like in one skill? Like, wouldn't that be balanced? Fire Leo, he's also an HP leader that works everywhere. He's got 2 hunters on both his skills. Now, he's a very strong monster, but I don't think he's the strongest Leo. But basically, he's a fire nuker. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Just get him with high crit, he hits hard. Nice attack. That's it. It's just that's it. Like, he just hits hard. Especially on wood monsters. The Water Leo, I think he was from a previous event or something. So I got him to 3 stars, or Evil 3, I mean. He's got a taunt and a stun. I think I was going to use him for Colossus, but Colossus kind of was a flop. Maybe when they fix Colossus, he'll be somewhat usable. Now, Wood Leo probably is considered one of the best PvP monsters for, I guess, mid to high, but like kind of falls off if you're like very high tier. He's got an HP lead, which is very good for PvP, and defense down, attack down. Now, these 2 skills are useful kind of everywhere. But the good thing about Leos is they hit a lot, so they generate a lot of blue souls, and basically, you know, get their team's bars faster. That's kind of what they do. He has very nice stats for a 4-star, like very low recovery, so all his other stats are relatively high. And he's also quite good for Titans, because the debuffs are very good for Titans. So he's kind of useful all around. Just a very good monster. You can use him for like Golem Speed 7 as well, and in maybe not the Dragon's Dungeon, but yeah, he's useful kind of everywhere else. So he's not too bad. Where are the... Alright, we're at the Johns now. If you see thirst in this shit, it's just no. I'm sorry. Until they fix that, it's just no. Now 100% sleep and stun is actually not too bad. Some people use her in PvP, but I feel like there's actually, well, in mid tier she's actually not too bad. So, you know, 100% stun and right out of the box is kind of not bad, but kind of falls off late game. The wood one, I would say out of the RGB is the best, but she's also not that good. The Johns are kind of weak in my opinion, but the wood one at least I think has some sort of use, some lasting use, because she does have Stalker on both her skills, which increases her crit, and she also has like decently high attack. And there aren't too many good wood nukers that, like, especially ones with both nuking skills on, like, nuking passives on both their skills. So like basically she has higher crit, makes her easier to gem. So I think she's very beginner friendly because you just slap any type of gem on her and she's effective, because it's not Hunter where you need to rely on the crit rate. It's just Stalker, which increases crit rate. So it's like kind of like a flat bonus to your damage. Not as good as Predator, but which basically just increases flat attack. But having a bit higher crit rate will, you know, increase her overall DPS. So I feel like she actually has some sort of lasting use. And the Johns also have a attack lead that's global. So if you want to use her as a nuker, she actually, you know, fills all those roles very well. The only downside is her variant color makes her look dumb as hell. Like, this looks pretty good. This looks dumb as hell. Alright, moving on. Alright, we're at the U keys. Now, the U keys are... oh, this is hard. I'm gonna actually have to give it to the water one, to be honest. Actually, yeah, if you skill up the water one, it's actually stronger than a Miho. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to the water one, because you can't compare her to a non-skilled up Yuki to a skilled up Miho. So the fire one has 2 defense down debuffs, but she's an attacker, so not too effective in Titans. But you can use her for Titans. She's actually not too bad, because you can just defense down. You know, it's always useful. She's not the best, so we won't talk too much about her. The water one, however, is actually very good for golems because of the sap. You can use her in all the golems except for the wood one. And she's actually more tanky, but you can build her as an attacker to kill the golems. And she also has skill books, which basically increase her sap chance. I think this goes up to... I'm pretty sure they both go up to 80 or something like that. So basically she's like one of the best sappers if you can get her fully skilled up. She also has the crit leader if you have her as a variant that's usable everywhere, so that's actually quite nice if you can happen to get like a, you know, like a full crit team with your gems and stuff. Yeah, very good sap. Probably better than Water Miho if you can get her to fully skilled skill book, but it's kind of hard to get skill books for 4 stars. So that's kind of why people don't use her as much. The wood one is double recovery down, so we're gonna have to move on. Alright, so this is the fire vampire. He's got a self-sustain, very interesting self-sustain. I think out of the 3 vampires, he's probably the best one. He's got a self-sustain adrenaline, basically heals for 50% of his max HP, and he's got Hunter on 2nd skill, so he's kind of like a self-sustained half nuker. A lot of people use him for the golem stages because self-sustain is very nice, and he's also fire, so you can use him to sustain himself through those stages because he has a self-healing, and then when he gets his active skill, he hits very hard. So you can use him for the same way that you would use a fire succubus or a firewall thing. It's kind of for the same purpose. Water vampire is a predator, so he's alright, but you know, sleep is kind of not that good. Wood vampire is a morale boost sapper. His morale boost is only 20% and his sap is only 80% and it only gives 1 sap, so yeah, he's kind of not that good. This guy's kind of like a event dungeon thing, so we're gonna have to skip him. The Fire Sura. Now the Fire Sura, yeah, he's single target, so his adrenaline kind of sucks. Yeah, not too good. I can't really say too much. The Fire Sura is not all that good. The Water Sura is probably the best out of the 3 Suras. He's got a 2-turn stun if you can get him to 100% crit. He's also got Predator, which makes him hit a little bit harder on his second skill. He's also got a crit leader, which makes him a lot easier to gem if you're using him starting out and he can't reach that crit cap. Yeah, he's got a 2-turn stun. Like that's just OP. You know, he's got a 2-turn stun. If Resist wasn't so overpowered in this game, he'd be like one of the best monsters in the game. But a lot of people still use him, so he's actually quite good because when he does actually land the 2-turn stun, it basically almost wins you a fight. So yeah, he's a really good CC monster. There's not too much to say about him. He's just kind of good for CCing PvP, even in higher tiers, because when you actually do land it, it's very, very threatening. 70% seal and sap kind of not too useful. It's kind of gimped because seal's more for PvP and sap's more for PvE. Alright, Tigers. This guy's decent. The Tigers do have an attack lead. You can kind of use him as a sapper as well. So he's kind of you can use him for the same reason you use a water miho and stuff, but you know, it's just easier to use a water miho, so there really is no reason to raise this guy. The Water Tiger is taunt and defense down. Now if Colossus was actually a thing, maybe he'd be useful, but as of right now, he's kind of useless. I think the Wood Tiger out of the 3 is the best one, because he does actually have Predator on his first skill and he's got a 60% stun on his second skill. It's kind of similar to the Water Vampire in his skills. And you know, I don't think too highly of this guy, so he's still kind of just okay. He's not too strong, but he is probably the best out of the 3 elements. All I can say is the Tigers are kind of sad. Like that's all I can say. Like the Tigers are kind of sad. Alright. Wait, where are we? Alright, we're at the low-keys now. Now, the fire low-key, water low-key, wood low-key, this is hard. This is a little bit hard because they're both pretty good. The fire low-key and the water low-key are both pretty good. I would say this is probably another tie. The fire low-key is very, very good for sapping. Same reason you would use a Yuki, but he's actually slightly better because, well, actually without skill books, he's slightly better. With skill books, Yuki is better. But he has an 80% on 2-turn on his first skill and a 60% on his second skill. So it's actually 1 2-turn, and this is like 2 2-turn, 60%. So basically, like the rates are kind of a little bit different. But he does have higher base attack, which makes him a little bit more effective if you're planning to use him as like kind of a nuker / sapper for golems. Yeah, and he also has defense lead, which could be useful depending on which units you're running. The water low-key, I would say, is the other best one because he's got Hunter Predator. Like double nuke is very, very strong. The thing is, he actually requires a lot better gems, so you will need to basically get near max crit to make Hunter useful. But you know, he does hit quite hard. He's got really high attack, Hunter plus Predator, just 2 offensive skills. Really not too much to say about it. Just you know, just a good nuker. Like he just does high damage. And you know, Hunter is probably like the best nuker skill. Predator's also quite good. Predator is like better for early game because you don't need to get the crit, The crit's not a requirement, but once you do have actually have the gems to support the crit, Hunter becomes a much better skill. The Wood Loki is actually decent for PvP. Some people use him, but I still think the Wood Leo is actually stronger. The Wood Leo might have a slower rate, but actually has better, like, does more hits. Stat wise is also more balanced, has higher effective HP, so kind of gets outclassed, I think. But if you do skill him up, actually he's quite good. But Leos have skill books now, so Leo can be skilled up, so Leo's still better. Alright, these are the Yakshas. Now, a lot of people would probably say... Yeah, I would say the fire one's the best one, the most useful one. Because the fire one you can use all the way up to late game for Titans with the attack down and blind. Very useful skills, and she is a defender with very high HP, so her stats are very balanced. She has very high effective HP, able to spam this attack down over and over again on the Titan, which makes her one of the best Titan like debuffers. 80% chance, also very high chance to land, so definitely not too bad. I think out of the three, she's probably the best one. The Water Yakshas, I would put her in the same boat as the Witchon Stalker. It's decent, but she's not as good as Water Loki, obviously, because Hunter is much better. But Stalker means you don't have to have good gems. You can just kind of slap on some random gems, and she'll still be kind of effective. So I guess early on she probably is better. Oh shit, Wood Yaksha. Dang, I think we have another tie, because this one is actually very strong. Very strong for PvP. 2-turn sleep, if you land it, it's GG. Hunter on second skill, very hard hitting, and she's got very nice stats. The other use that she can be used for is a CC monster for Dragon Speed 10, because she has an offensive leader skill with Death Blow, and a lot of your Dragon Speed 10 monsters are going to have 100% crit, like Dark Thor and stuff like that. So basically, you get her to 100% crit, she's a 100% CC monster, and on her second skill she does a hard hitting nuke, which is very nice for taking down the dragon once you armor break him. So probably the best RGB monster for farming dragons, Dragon Speed 10. Alright, Zineza. The fire one is decent, but I think kind of gets outclassed by the water one, but she's still kind of usable, and she's also not as good as the Yaksha, because only 70% chance. The water one a lot of people use. The water one is just basically like a perfect Titan spawn, very similar to the fire Yaksha, but with a slightly lower activation rate on the first skill. But because she's water element, you kind of have to use her if you're making a water team. She also has a better leader skill with her protection lead, or her defense lead, protector shield. So stat wise she's balanced, a little bit too much recovery, but her skills kind of make up for it, so a lot of people still use her for Titans. Now, the Wood Yaksha, I don't even remember what she does, which is a bad sign, because if I don't remember, she's probably kind of bad. HP Siphon, Seal, usable, but there's so much better alternatives, so she's kind of not really all that good. I think that might be it. That might be all the ones that are summonable. Yeah. Alright, so that's pretty much it. For all the summonable monsters. I didn't want to make this like too long. I don't want to talk about all the different monsters I can get from different rebirths and all that stuff. I just wanted to talk about the summonable monsters and kind of show you guys which ones are probably the better ones. A lot of ones are usable, besides the one I basically just went nope to. those ones are just completely unusable as in the current state of the game because they have no practical use right now. Although they, you know, in theory maybe their skills are very, very good, but right now they're within the game, they have no practical use. So it's I kind of just skipped over them. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to just give the RGB monsters some love, especially the 4-star ones that a lot of people have, and you don't get to see me use a lot because I don't have a lot of them raised, and I use a lot of them for rebirth and stuff. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I'm sorry for those of you that missed me too much, but you know, I'm back now and I'm fine again. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.